Yo, this is going to be a review of the Ipason Yao glass pad. It is a pad that's got a very competitive price point at just $100 USD, and I'm not gonna lie, I've never heard of this company before, and they did send this out, but obviously if it's bad, I won't be sugarcoating any of its flaws, so let's jump right in. First up, we got the build quality, which is really good. I'd say this is on par with the quality of the premium glass pads out in the market right now, such as the Warhacks and Glassworks pad. By feel alone though, I'd say I do prefer this over the SP004, but they're around the same as the Kazumi. It has some weight to it since it is glass and it feels very sturdy. The edges are well rounded and smooth, but the pad is on the thicker side, so if you have a setup where your pad is not flush against the edge of the table, you can notice the edge rubbing against your skin, especially during vertical motions. Fortunately, because they're very smooth, it doesn't dig into your arm or wrist, which is good. Onto the surface, this is probably up there in terms of what I prefer from a glass pad. It is a buttery smooth texture with a pretty fast glide. I think the closest comparison to this would actually be the Kazumi from Glassworks. However, there are two noticeable differences between the two. First is the feel. The Yao has a much more matte feel to it the moment you rest your arm on the pad. Both of them do have this matte touch, but the finish on the Yao is just a lot stronger. The other difference is the speed. The Yao is faster by a small margin, and with both pads being completely smooth, I kinda like the Yao better, I can't lie. Yes, the design on the Kazumi is nice, the colors in my opinion work really well, while the Yao is just solid colors, but the performance on the Yao is just slightly better. You can also get custom prints for it, but it will cost more at 140 US dollars. The low friction really is a nice experience when you're tracking a target, especially with larger swipes in general. The pad was just so smooth, it felt seamless. Micro adjustments are also very easy to do since there is very little friction when starting a motion. It doesn't have that sort of stuck feeling when you're trying to move your mouse just a little bit. Of course, it does come with some downsides. This pad, if you're not familiar with glass pads, you will need to get used to because the speed is quite fast and it has almost zero distinct feedback when you move your arm across it. There's also the issue with stability, which kind of ties along with getting used to the pad since it's very easy to move even just a tiny bit on the pad. Performance in games like TAC FPS that require precision or first shot accuracy will suffer a bit if you're a little bit shaky. Another thing that I like about this surface is similarly to the Kazumi, you can pretty much run any skates on this pad apart from glass on glass, of course. I've used plenty of different stock skates and aftermarket skates on this pad and all worked very nicely. I don't really have a favorite set to use with this because they were all pretty good, so just for speed and quality alone, I'd say my favorite would be the Ghost Glide standard PTFE dots. This part is where the Yao does creep forward a little bit when compared with the Kazumi, the moisture resistant feature. Both pads have a moisture resistant feature and they both work really well, but the finish on the Yao is definitely stronger, so even though it's starting to get hot here and I'm sweating more, my arm isn't getting stuck as often as it would on the Kazumi or other glass pads. The only time where I've really felt a tug, and it's nothing major, just a small tug, is when my arm is sitting in the same spot for a little while. Even then, it still won't affect performance in any way, so this is a huge dub. The base of the Yao is good, has an almost full coverage base that doesn't move at all when placed on the desk, and it has this soft touch finish to it that feels similar to the SP004. I will say though, I'm not a huge fan of this glossy part in the middle. So far it's not gotten much on it, but these can get really dirty in my experience over time, especially if you have carpet in your room and you regularly swap out your mouse pads. There'll be some particles just randomly collected in there, and cleaning it is not a huge problem, but it is an inconvenience. Other than that, the base is high quality and putting a lot of force onto the pad won't get it to move. This is nice. Okay, so that's the Ipason Yao. I'm honestly pleasantly surprised at how good this pad was. It's up there with the top glass pads out in the market right now, and being priced considerably cheaper than its competitors, I feel like this is a pretty good pad to get if you were looking for a glass pad with a smooth texture while being fast like the Kazumi, but you missed it. The Hana from Glassworks is just right around the corner, and we'll have to see which one is better, but so far this pad is not bad at all. It's going to be on my rotations and possibly even my main until something else comes along.